Here we greet you when we say, what up, though?
What up, though?
There you go, there you go. Now, first off, we appreciate you coming here, and we just want to have a conversation with you. We want to kick it because we know how you feel about Detroit, and we know how Detroit feels about you. So break down the Bet on Yourself collection and tell us a little bit about why you're here today.
I mean, to start off, the Bet on Yourself collection is what Detroit stands for. You know, when you got the madness going on, everybody can always tell you what's going wrong, right? But they don't understand, even in them neighborhoods where it's war and, you know, the shit that we do on a regular basis that, you know, we don't always have the answers for. I'm not saying it's always right. There's a lot of love and a lot of integrity. And for that's golden to me. You know what I mean? That's what the D stands for. You see all the transformation, but when you see the core of what the D is that integrity. So Bet on Yourself for me was all about integrity. It's like we wake up every day and bet on all the wrong things, but don't bet on ourselves.
True that, true that. Now, what was the process in you when you picked these different fabrics? Because let me tell you something, this jogging suit got me feeling like a 70s mobster right now. I feel real smooth in this.
I mean, to me, it was, you know, me growing up, you know, being 46 years old, I grew up where, you know, the 80s was the 80s. We know what the 80s meant, right? In the 80s, it didn't matter what type of car you had, right? You go to the spot and you walk in, you can tell who's who by their fresh. Nowadays, somebody got a car outside, it's rented, it's leased, something, it's somebody else's car. Back then, you know who's who. And we always set the tone. So I wanted to dig back into what I was taught, what I seen growing up, what I was a part of from a youngin' to becoming my own self. We always set the tone. We always was in front of everything. At the end of the day, I tell people all the time, corporate America come and say, yo, this is that, and you know, we run this and this. No, we the sauce. They gotta come get the sauce. We the sauce. At the end of the day, at the restaurant, I don't care if you take me to the best restaurant in the world. If the food ain't right, I'm not going back. But you can take me to the corner store and let grandma hit me off. I'm there every week. We the sauce, so we gotta think like that. We gotta know we are.
The one thing that a lot of people know, especially people that know me, they know how I feel about the industry. Because I feel like sometimes they lock out what's real. And that's why when somebody like you come across and you speak the language that we speak, we can't do nothing but to get behind you because we're cut from the same cloth. Detroit is no different than BMO.
All day long.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm quite sure everybody here watched The Wire, you know what I'm saying? Not saying that comparison, but we know what it's like to come up. We know what it's like, especially here in Detroit, to grind. And especially now, we got this new Detroit with a downtown.
Right.
And sometimes it seems like they forget about 10 miles outside of downtown.
They really don't forget about it. It's just, they look at it as, you know, they want to undermine it. But it can't be a new Detroit without the old Detroit.
Preach.
Nobody wants to come to Detroit for something new. They still want to come catch that Detroit soul. So who gonna give them the Detroit soul? Old Detroit. The problem is a lot of times we put too much emphasis on the corporations don't understand us. It don't be them. It be the ones like us that walk in the door and get them situations and don't know how to rely back to us because guess what they do? They close the door. That's the problem. How can you expect somebody sitting in the office to understand us? So that means they hiring somebody that's supposed to be us, that's sitting there and tell them who we are.
And that's why you got to bet on yourself. That's why you got to take advantage of it and do it. A couple things I want to talk about this collection. You really took it back old school, especially I see with the Bet on Yourself t-shirt. You got the old school cellular phone on there, the Motorola pager.
I mean, to me, you know, one of the most important things for me for this collection was, if you notice, my ID, my federal ID number is everywhere. Not to big up jail, because to me, prison was a small chapter, a very small chapter in a big book of my life. Like, my life's still going on, it's just a small chapter, but I wanted to let everybody know that we all make mistakes. We gonna keep making mistakes, but that don't define me. You know what I mean? That part of it don't define me as a man. You know what I mean? A lot of good men go to jail. You know what I'm saying? They go to jail, but they good men.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons why what we did, we did something. I want this to be private and intimate with us today. Because I wanted it to be real. I didn't want people to be nosy. I wanted people to come that really wanted to be here to really get what you're talking about. And I can say that since this collection went on sale today, people have been buying it left and right. Because they like the fabrics of the material. What I want to ask you, a lot of people don't understand, you did a full-fledged collection. You did socks, some cold, freaky socks, and a backpack.
I mean, think about it. Anybody to get fresh, right? Ain't about just the clothes. It's the whole routine. You know what I'm saying? It's down to the cologne, to the soap we use to take a bath. You know what I mean? The hair, while we in the barbershop once a week, it's everything.
I'm glad you said that. Now, do you think sometimes that, and we touched on it a little bit out here in the parking lot, do you feel sometimes that corporate America turned their back on, and I don't want to make it seem like the streets, but I don't care what nobody said, the streets carry brands.
They can't turn their back on the streets. Right. We dictate everything going on. What you mean? Everything, every trend, everything comes from the streets. You know what I mean? Like even the guy who's our so-called guy who's, that made it celebrities and got taste and knows what, majority of the time they come back to the neighborhood and see what the young guy doing and go and put a little twist on it. Exactly. That's why I love touching people, because I feel like you learn something every day when you deal with regular people. I'm a regular person. I like to deal with the everyday person. I'm not on the other shit.
For sure. What was the thought process in the 3 footwear models that you chose to do this?
I mean, history lesson. Think about it, when I first came home, having a young son that y'all seen in the video, having my son the lead of this campaign was more important than anything. Like, I don't care if I sell 1 shoe or 10 or 1,000, it don't matter. To be able to leave when he was born, come home, still build our relationship. He's second year of college. He took a negative situation that didn't let him get the best of him. And to be where we at now, that he want to model. So I'm like, shit, if you want to model, okay, that's what we doing. To do that and to wake up and see that, I'm not even gonna lie to you. I've been crying the last 3 days since I seen the video. I'm an emotional guy. Like, to have that, like for us, because they always tell us what we're not. You know what I'm saying?
No, trust me. When you say shit like that, it feels to the heart, because now I'm bringing my nephew and my son up the pipeline too, so they can learn this. Because I tell everybody, I want my losses to be their wins. I want them to see what I went through and what I went through, so they can learn not to do it.
I tell you this: if you got any young man or young female that's around you, or you see them on a daily basis, and if you're a stand-up individual, if you're not feeding them to be better than you got to answer for that later.
That's very true. The one thing I told you about in the parking lot too, I saw what Biggs posted today on Instagram. He said, just because Emory wins doesn't mean we have to lose. And I think that is so strong, because a lot of times people try to put people against each other like it's a competition. And they don't know that we are the strongest force in this industry. If we was to come together, and I know it's an old cliche, and everybody keeps saying it.
But to me, I'm a realist. You got to look in the mirror. A lot of times it don't be somebody doing it, be us doing it to each other. It don't be nobody else. We use that as a scapegoat. We use that as a scapegoat. At the end of the day, since the reason why this is important to me for Mr. Allen's today in Detroit, how long we met each other? Since you got first trade show, right? Yeah. And we always been stand up, never did no business together.
But it was all love.
All love. And I told you, I said, when the time right, we're going to do business, right? I felt like the time was right, because I feel like what Mr. Allen stands for in stores like Mr. Allen, right now, y'all are the most important, space in the business again. Because the reality is, how long Mr. Allen's been here?
Oh, almost 40 years, huh?
40 years. Y'all understand y'all customer. You own your retail. You own your space. You own your real estate. Not saying you own the building, you own your space of knowing what Detroit is.
Yeah, and
Look, the Foot Lockers of the world and all them, they come and look good. You know, and no not to them, because I feel like in this business what we need to understand, we all need each other. You can't do what Foot Locker can do. Foot Locker can't do what the Burn Rovers of the world can do. You know what I'm saying? Everybody, it's a collective thing.
Yeah. And the one thing about us here, they're not scared, like Mr. Allen, to put people in a position that can move the culture forward as well too. I get what you're saying.
And that's why it's fast forward back to when you look at the collective. You know what I'm saying? If everybody look in the mirror and say, "How many doors Mr. Allen has?"
Right now, over 35.
Okay, 35, and you add all them other guys who have 50, 100. Boom, boom. When you look at it collectively, we got a space of what, 1,200 doors of same people that think the same way, been and bred in our neighborhoods the same way. So at the end of the day, we got just as much leverage as anybody else.
That's true. The one thing I want to tip my hat to you too is that I know when I first started following you and when we started connecting, you always, every day you left an inspirational quote on your IG. And I know if it was royalties being paid to that, how many people screenshot what you used to write and say that? You'll be in the Cayman somewhere owning some islands, because everybody has screenshot one of your quotes and put it on theirs as well. So just the things you do all around, just your whole aura, not just the Puma collection, but just your whole appearance and your attitude. And you like us, man. We all come from humble beginnings.
Yes.
We know what it's like. And you're not afraid to put people on. Like how you put on, well, not put on, but you bring up people like Upscale Vandal. You bring in your people, like how I try to bring my people up when I do something. Mm-hmm. A lot of times people don't know how to move as a unit without jealousy. Mm-hmm. And I respect you for that as well.
I mean, at the end of the day, you know, to go back to the quotes and all that, people always say write a book or watermark them as yours. They not mine. Even though if I write some of them, if I remix some of them, it's universal. Like we've been hearing the same shit our whole life. It's just been told to us different. I'm just relying the message again because, like I was telling the young lady outside, I be needing to hear it myself. But I wake up every day and need that reflection too. You know?
No, trust it. A lot of people, you know, a lot of people don't understand what people go through outside of whatever it is. And you're right. Sometimes we need to see that. But I want you to know how influenced you are and how much you touch people too with those quotes, because those come right on time.
I mean, listen. I look at it like this, man. I got a few good friends here with me. You know, my Chicago brothers here, and I look at it like this. From the day I came home, I always been in the good people. I'm about good human beings. It ain't about where you're from. You know what I'm saying? You're a good human being. Where you're from don't really matter. You know what I mean? I respect men. I respect good people. I'm going to give you the respect that I want back. So that's how I live my life. You know what I'm saying? Does it always work? Yeah, we all got issues. We all got things, and some days it don't. But my main objective is just to be a good person. You know what I'm saying? And being a good person, I was always taught, if I get the information, get the information off. So it's really just passing the information off. Because if we all come from where we come from, if you get the information, you're gonna know how to go eat. One thing you're gonna do, ain't nobody gonna say they're starved. We're gonna figure out how to eat.
Amen. Because it's always saying, if I eat, we all eat.
Plain and simple.
So today is pretty much over with.
Mm-hmm.
What's next?
What you mean, what's next?
What's next? What's else coming down the Emory Jones pipeline?
I mean, right now it's this whole Puma basketball thing. Like, people don't realize, like, Puma, you know, you see people, and I don't like to talk about things a lot because I don't want to come off bragging, but
of course,
Puma, I started this relationship 8 years ago. When I first walked in my office with Puma and telling them I'm gonna do this, even my brothers laughed. They was like, man, get out of here. Think about it, 8 years ago, the only two sneakers you talked about was Jordan and Nike. They ran everything. But to me, it was a conversation I had to have with my son that I'm not gonna let him think that a Jordan or a check run his life. So growing up being fresh, it was always about options. It's always about options. Like, me and my best friend to second grade, right now to this day, is a white kid who came from the other side of the tracks, family had money, but what brought us together was sneakers. We was trading sneakers in second grade. Not the fact of selling sneakers. You figure if we got a couple pair of sneakers, we take care of them, if we switch them, nobody in school know that I got his sneakers on. So now we got an extra look.
Exactly.
We got an extra look. Till this day, we still best friends off of sneakers. And till this day, white boy still fresh. Like right now he's somewhere buying every piece of product he can because that's what he do. He loves just to be a part of the culture and supporting me like I support him. So for me, it's like when I started that relationship, I looked at this like, come on, we always need a few brands. You know what I'm saying? Like,
That's true.
That's why it's called a highway. Different lanes. We all can get in different lanes and eat.
That's true.
Right? So fast forward, I've been blessed and been a great partnership. And fast forward, the opportunity to present itself for the big homie to come in and do this basketball thing. So now I feel like it's bigger than basketball. When you say basketball, it's just from where we from. Basketball is just culture to us. Like, that's just the DNA. It was never always about on the court.
No, it wasn't, because at one time basketball shoes were the only 5 shoes we really had to get fresh in. So, back in the day. Now, when I see collections like this, E, I'm gonna be honest with you, it puts me in, and we touched on it a little bit, the luxury lifestyle. Like you said, I'm 46 as well. So I came up in the era where you had the Diodora, the Sergio Tacchini, and at one time here in Detroit, a company called Van Grack had a hell of a run here. And they had this smooth velour green jogging suit that I never forget. And when I saw this, I was like, wow, this is the closest I'm gonna get to this. So I'm about to be really, really, really fresh. And those things that people forget, like when we talk all the time, me and my wife talk, and we talk to our kids and all that, and they think they're doing something, but they don't know how we used to get fresh. Like I told you with the Benettons.
They don't have a clue.
No, they don't. They don't
have a clue. And half the time it's funny when they come in and try to tell you, but then it takes somebody else to tell them, or they see it somewhere else, and then they come back to the house and be like, damn, all the information was in front of me, right? Like, nobody's reinventing the wheel. Even when you think somebody's hot, you salute them, you understand that they paying attention, they playing their part in their time, but nobody's reinventing the wheel. Fashion gonna be fashion. We're gonna use the same blanks over and over, change the colors, different brand, it's the same shit. Nobody reinventing the wheel.
No, I just want to say you killed it with this roll gold tipping and all that, because we from Detroit, we wear shit like this. We wear pink, but we call it salmon.
But that was my thing. It was like it was so funny because I walk in the house and I tell I'm talking the thing through, and it's like, man, I don't shop or nothing no more. I don't do much, right? I'm a simple guy, t-shirts, and I'm like, man, I gotta go do this color scheme, but then most important is the rose gold. It's like, think about it, y'all Detroit players, so y'all gonna have the rose gold glasses, the whole thing. It's like, it's just the
rose gold door handles too.
It's the aesthetic. It's all about the aesthetic. It's the richness of it, it's the aesthetic. And then my other thing was, everybody has this thing about you can't wear white in the winter. Like, where they make that up in? Like, don't this green, this fall winter color look good with the white sneakers?
Of course it does.
All day long. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, break them molds, man. Like, growing up, I seen nothing but dopeness.
And the one thing I'm glad that you did do this colorway, because so many times people come out with a collection and they play it safe. They do red, white, and blue.
Oh, no,
black, white, red.
Trust me, the first color they put on the board for me, when you let them bring you something to the table, see what they thinking, it was all that. No, I was like, okay, I see where we going.
Trust me, I get the same thing, because when I try to do something with the Pistons, no, you gotta do red, white, blue. No, I'm doing the teal and the burgundy, because we fly, we wear that kind of shit. Yeah. So E, I appreciate you coming out to the city. If you don't mind, we want to take a couple of questions from the audience and all that. DJ, well, on behalf of the city of Detroit, and I know with the warm reception you're going to get, we definitely appreciate this. This shit was needed. I love you for this, man, because you kept your word. You said, Ty, when the time right, we're going to do something right, and this was right. Everybody give it up for Emory Jones.